The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998. Welcome to PWR Sudden Impact Radio, breaking down all that happened on tonight's Impact Wrestling broadcast on Spike TV. Sudden Impact Radio is on the air.
Good evening, wrestling fans. Welcome to Sudden Impact Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio. I am the man they call me, Dad. Thank you for joining us tonight. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got a full hour of Sudden Impact Radio for you. And, yes, the calls are starting to filter in as we speak. But if you don't know the numbers and you want to call in, give us a call, area code 347-996-5278 or 877-317-9772. Give us a call. Talk about tonight's Impact Wrestling. Just went off the air. They had to go off the air exactly 10 o'clock for the debut of MMA Uncensored, a brand new show on Spike TV. But like I said, we've got a lot of Impact Wrestling to talk about tonight. Show going off the air with the madman they call Sting, donning, basically just slopping a bunch of paint on his face and letting us all know that it is definitely showtime again for the wrestler, the man they call Sting. Excuse me. So, once again, if you want to call us, 347-996-5278 or 877-317-9772. We're going to talk about Impact Wrestling tonight. Also, we're going to have Dwayne Williams joining us momentarily. But first off, let's talk about the opening of Impact. Now, I've said over the previous handful of weeks that I am enjoying the fact that Bobby Roode, the heel champion, if you will, dressed in the part. Bobby Roode, the man, comes out, takes his time coming out to the ring. Well, he's led off the show at, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like he's led off the show at least the last 4 to 5 weeks. Got to mix it up a little bit for me. Got to give me a little bit different feel, a little bit different taste. He didn't show himself dressed to compete, which obviously he didn't have a match tonight. But, you know, I like when they come out, you know, either opening the show, middle of the show, top of the hour, you know, sometimes dressed to compete, sometimes dressed, you know, as the champ, you know, the way he should. But, you know, got to mix it up for me a little bit. But needless to say, Bobby Roode, again, cutting an amazing promo. He's doing the job. You know, with him being the TNA heavyweight champion, you know, you would think he'd be the number one heel. He's actually the number 2 heel in the company, I think, to his former running mate, Bully Ray. But he comes out and talks about how he got Sting to retire. Now, I'm gonna go into a little bit of a tangent here. I enjoy Twitter for what it is. Twitter's a way to reach out and communicate with everybody. Twitter's a way for, you know, somebody like myself to maybe reach out and communicate with other people that I wouldn't have the chance to across the pond, you know, on the other side of the world, people, you know, on other parts of the country. It's a way for us to all communicate and get along and become a very close-knit family. But I don't like companies, especially TNA. Now, WWE, they've been doing the same thing, and it's getting worse and worse by the week. TNA is using Twitter to get over angles, gimmicks, promos on their programming, and I don't like it. Sting put out a tweet that said, "I'm done." Okay, that was nothing more than just to further advance what was going on TV. Even more so, it doesn't make sense when you throw out a tweet that says, "I'm done," and you're taping your shows. So everybody knows that I'm done doesn't mean you're done with the business. I'm done means, hey, you know what? I'm going to wrestle at the next pay-per-view, and I'm going to wrestle, and I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to get a shot at the heavyweight championship. So I don't agree with it. I'm not a fan of it. Dwayne, I'm not sure how you feel about that, but I don't like the fact that Twitter and TNA, for example, are starting to ruin some of my wrestling product. I don't like that Sting basically just helped advance a storyline on Twitter by saying, "I'm done." Dwayne.
Yeah, I don't understand why they have to follow WWE's strategy with Twitter.
Well, I don't know if it's they're following the strategy, because I thought they were in on it too. I think it's both of the companies at the same time, but just overusing the social media right now. I'm just not a fan.
Me either. So that means that you're not following Dixie Carter.
No, I do follow Dixie Carter. I follow it because I'm a broadcast journalist, and I want to hear what she has to say. But Dixie does put over angles. She was doing it on her own feed for a while, too. She was putting over the angles, like, for example, when Sting attacked her. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. But, I mean, you know, I don't like when they try to tie the Twitter into a storyline.
Right, exactly.
You hear it on the that's when it goes too far.
Right, you hear it on the E, Michael Cole trending this, Rock trending that. I don't care. I really don't care. You know, I don't want to know what's going on outside the ring while I'm watching something in the ring or on the TV screen. I don't care what's going on outside of that. I tuned in to watch you do what you do. So, yeah, not a fan, but as we all find out, especially, I don't know if you heard me mention this, but especially when Sting saying I'm done only meant to wait one more day to find out what I'm done means, which is I'm done being the man in charge and I'm done playing your games and now I'm going to kick your butt at the pay-per-view in my title shot that I'm giving myself.
Yeah, that he's giving himself.
That he gave himself. Didn't approve it. He just said, Victory Road, I'm going to kick your ass. Apparently that's for the title. Maybe it's a non-title match. We don't know yet. You know, there's another set of tapings coming up. We try not to read the spoilers. But if Sting really was done and it came out, say, the next set of TV tapings and said, you know what, I am done, I'm retiring, that would have been internet news, regardless of spoilers, non-spoilers. That would have been internet news.
Don't you think that would have made more sense for him to do that, and then you could have had Roode maybe goat him out of retiring?
I think it could have been dragged on a little bit longer. I think they could have made more of it.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But, you know.
Instead of a 1 week, I'm done. And then what makes it worse is, and again, this isn't a 60-minute bitch session about TNA. There's other things that went on good and bad. But what makes it worse, some of the other workers in the company respond in kayfabe, or excuse me, in character.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. And to be honest, as a wrestling fan, we like being worked. Wrestling, I mean, a true wrestling fan wants to be worked. They want to be led down one path, sitting in a pay-per-view watching, and all of a sudden, boom, the opposite happens, and they're surprised. We want that. Wrestling fans want to be worked. That's part of the game. That's what we want. But when it's phony like that, it's hard. It's hard to deal with. So, what did you think of Bobby Roode's opening segment, his opening promo?
I thought it was good. I mean, I thought it was good. To me, he's getting better every week.
Mm-hmm. I don't agree with him opening the show week after week. Mix it up for me a little bit. You know, give me a little bit different direction. Sometimes have him come out dressed to compete. Have him come dressed out in workout clothes. Mix it up. You know, not the same time every day. You know, maybe open with a match and then go after that. Give me a little bit of variety. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, they're trying. One thing you have to give them credit for, they're trying to establish him as the champion, the Impact title as the premier, you know, belt in the company, and I think they're trying to set a standard. So give them a little credit for that.
Yes, and that belt still looks good. We're going to get to the TV title in a little bit, but that belt still looks like a classy belt. Doesn't look like it's falling apart,
right.
Unlike another belt in the company. But, yeah, I thought it was a great promo, and I thought it was a great way to set up the rest of the night. TNA is doing a good job, I think, of with their opening match and or promo, setting up what's going to go on for the rest of the night. They seem to set it up in the opening segment for the last segment. You know, give you a little intrigue, a little taste of what's going on. So right after that, we did have the new TNA Tag Team Champions. And how long can we keep calling them new? I mean, how long does the new stick around? Is it till the next pay-per-view?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I guess till next week they'll still be new.
Gotcha. All right. So the new TNA Tag Champions, you got Samoa Joe and Magnus, who, and you know, I was thinking about this, and I want to know your opinion on this. I was thinking, you know, if they came up with a name, or if they became a team and were a team for a long run, would you equate this to something like Beer Money? You know, when Beer Money was put together, it was just slopped together. James Storm had nothing to do because Chris Harris was gone.
Right.
And, you know, they just...
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah, but look at what Beer Money became. You know, and I think they had the opportunity because they were in TNA. If that were the WWE, again, this isn't bashing. I'm trying not to make this a negative tone. I'm giving up negativity for Lent. So we're gonna try. We're gonna try and be positive. But if given the opportunity, I think they really could establish themselves as even if they go back and forth from face heel, they can establish themselves as a very solid tag team. Amazing.
I agree.
What they're doing, yeah. And shenanigans, Dave Hero's word, between Crimson and Matt Morgan. They argue. Crimson walks out. Again, nothing more than a setup for the two of them to go one-on-one. And we talked about it on Monday Night Mayhem. It's possible this could be how Crimson loses his first match to Matt Morgan.
Right. I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to be the one to pin him first.
Now, before Impact was on tonight, I was in a wrestling mode. I was in a wrestling, frame of mind. I opened up my 30-day Netflix trial.
Okay.
Got a PlayStation. I don't have to listen to the jet engine going off when I'm trying to, watch my PlayStation or Netflix. And you know what the first thing I saw was, oh, look, it's the rise and fall of WCW. I think we need to watch this video. And
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a great, my wife was actually into it too because it told the backstory. She got confused by all the acronyms. The Georgia Championship Wrestling, the WCW, the WWE, TNT, TBS, the USA. Those are all a little confusing when they're all put together like that. But the point I'm trying to make is when Goldberg was beat, when his streak ended, shouldn't it have meant something? Shouldn't that have catapulted Kevin Nash into a new stratosphere instead of the quote-unquote finger poke of doom to give Hogan the belt back?
I think that was just the wrong person to end his thing. I don't see anything good that could have come out of that. Nash should not have been the one that ended.
Right, and the reason why I allude to that little angle there is Crimson is supposed to have this incredible undefeated streak. When he loses, shouldn't that catapult the guy that takes the victory off of him? Shouldn't that catapult him into the stratosphere? What is Matt Morgan going to gain if he's the one that beats Crimson?
Nothing at this point, but potentially, this is not what's going to happen, obviously, but potentially if they break that team up and then reestablish his streak, then if he, ends it, then potentially he could, gain something from it. But at this point, who even remembers the streak?
Right, exactly, except for Dave Hero. He keeps mentioning that he still is, quote-unquote, undefeated. And, no shots to my favorite hero, of course. But, by the way, all of those of you that are waiting on hold, boy, the mouth's not working tonight. Those of you waiting on hold, we will be getting to your calls in the second segments. We're going to be running down a little bit more of Impact. Again, just hang tight. I know a lot of you on hold. We've got phone numbers 347-996-5278. Area code 877-317-9772. We will get to your calls. I'd say about the next 5 minutes we'll be getting to those calls. We'll start knocking those out one by one. Hang tight. We're going to get to you. Also, if you want to make sure that you hit up the Twitter page, use the hashtag Sudden Impact. You may get your tweet read on the show as well. Also, the Chat-osphere. A lot of people that go in there complain that I don't throw it out to them enough and say, hey, we're talking in the Chat-osphere. Head on over to Chat-osphere or Chat-osphere. And make sure you're talking about Sudden Impact tonight and talking about Impact Wrestling. But let's talk about the Jesse Sorensen thing. And again, I can go on. I thought there was some good and there was some bad, and I may be the bad guy. So I'm gonna clear you away from this, Dwayne, in case there's any heat that comes from this. Okay? I'm a meathead, and this message is approved by me. What are they gaining by showing that package? Okay, what are they gaining from it? The only positive that I pulled out of there, when I first heard her mom say, Jesse's mom say, there's a call from Jesse's cell phone, and I thought, oh, he's going to be okay. I knew right away it was Dixie. That's the positive. Dixie was such a good person. Dixie was so caring that she went right away and she grabbed Jesse's phone and called his mom. I thought that was, maternal, the right thing to do, the class act. But showing this package, what's the gain for Jesse? What's the gain for TNA? I don't understand the point of it.
Well,
opinion?
It's one of those things. It's a tough thing. The gain for TNA is they think that it's going to give them more exposure and showing that this is really a potentially dangerous thing. So they're trying to milk it just like with Jeff Hardy, with his real life problems. They're just trying to milk it and get some extra publicity out of it.
Yeah, it struck me as wrong for the video.
Well, it's tacky.
I can understand that. Tacky. There you go. I can understand that video package being played if he's on his way back. Say, Jesse's been working out. Hey, here's some video that we took right after the incident. Here's some video that we took of this. Interviews with his mom, his family, whatever. We believe in Jesse, this, that. That would make sense. What, a week and a half removed? Nah, that just didn't sit right with me. And then because, again, we're on a delay, I don't know if Taz and Tanae do the voiceovers post where they do it out of the studio or they're doing them live there when it comes to tapings. But they said recently Jesse just released from the hospital. We're not sure what his history is. And Taz, we know that you haven't suffered a broken neck. I can understand that part. But like I said, the package, I didn't really buy into it. And I was kind of offended's not the right word. I just, for a lack of a better term, I just didn't think it belonged. Again, appreciated everything that Dixie did, and I knew that she was the one that called. Like I said, listening, I knew that it was her because, again, that's the kind of person she is. She feels like it's her family, she's in charge, and she's responsible for everybody. That's awesome. That part, that's her. That's what she does. But I didn't appreciate the package, though. Dwayne, we're going to take a quick break. A little winded here. Let me get a drink of my Sobe zero calorie life water. Take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go to the phone zone, as Damien would call it. We're going to take your phone calls. So if you want to call in and talk on a program, area code 347-996-5278 or area code 877-317-9772. You're listening to Sudden Impact Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, real. Welcome to PWR Sudden Impact. You're listening to PWR Sudden Impact Radio, breaking down all that happened on tonight's Impact Wrestling broadcast. Don't forget to follow PWR right here on Blog Talk Radio right now. Be reminded of upcoming episodes and never miss Blog Talk Radio's most popular sports show. Follow PWR now. Stop stalking your ex and be our friend on Facebook and join the tremendous worldwide discussion. Facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. You're listening to the most popular sports show on Blog Talk Radio, the Pro Wrestling Report.
Welcome back to Sudden Impact Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio. I'm the man they call me, joined by, as always, Dwayne Williams. Dwayne, we're going to head on over to the phones. Are you ready for the phones?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, are you ready for the callers? Because they got questions. There's people on hold. They got questions. We are going to start off by calling off your area code, and I want to hear your name and the state you're calling from. First off, let's go to 850. Now, if I'm guessing correctly, the 850 is somewhere around Panama City Beach. 850, what's your name and what state you calling from?
This is Greg, and yes, the home of Monday Nitro for 3 years straight.
Panama City Beach, Florida. I got a friend that's down there, so I recognize the 850. Go ahead. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I was watching TNA, and I started calling SmackDown. I'm not used to seeing blue ropes. I mean, I haven't seen TNA for so long. I've worked every Thursday night for about a year straight, so.
Okay. What did you think of the program?
Well, I think one thing, they shouldn't use Twitter like WWE does.
Yeah, not a fan of what they're doing with the Twitter. I know you heard us talk about it in the last segment, but not a fan of what both companies are doing with the Twitter feeds. I feel like they're treating us like idiots.
I mean, if you ask me, especially if it's a tape show. I mean, I understand if they do like a 2-week live show, with suspense like WWE does, but if you're taped, you really shouldn't use Twitter as a way to further your storylines. I mean, I work at a couple independent companies around here, and I know we do monthly shows, and it ain't right. I mean, it's okay for us to do it because it's the only way we can really build our storylines, but taped week and week and doing stuff like that, it ain't right.
No, it doesn't make any sense. So besides that, though, overall, how did you think Impact came off tonight? We ask everybody that calls in our program, pass or fail. Did you think it was a pass or fail?
I think for the first time in about a year watching it live, it was really good. I mean, I'd give it a pass. I mean, I've been begging to see Bobby's champion, and the first time I get to see him on a taped show, but to see him live watching it, it was actually pretty good for Bobby.
Okay. Any questions for Dwayne? Anything else you want to bring up tonight?
No. I mean, first time caller. I listen to you guys every weekend. Every time I'm at work.
Appreciate it.
Sneak up to the back of the room and just listen to you guys at work. So.
All right, appreciate it. Well, thank you again for calling. Make sure you guys are listening on iTunes as well, and we also got the show on YouTube. But really, if you want to get to the show first, you want to head on over to PWRshow.com. You know, I feel like Dwayne, I feel like I should have one of those bells over here. Every time I hit the promotional mark, give me a ding. You know, every time I get that cash register running, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
So, speaking of making money here, don't forget Primetime available tomorrow on the site. Also, Saturday, I believe, at 10 p.m. in the local area here on My 24, 10 p.m. Primetime. Also, many more. Again, there's many more shenanigans that have been shown up. I hate using that word. You know what? David Hero ruined that word. David and Damian have ruined that word for me. It's what's going on, but they abuse the word so hardcore that I feel dirty using it. Dwayne, I need your help coming up with a better term.
We have to come up with one.
Yeah, I feel embarrassed using it, you know, and I want to use hashtags. Dave Hero ruined that for me, too.
Yeah.
David Hero and Kevin Smith.
They trademarked it, so, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a bunch of stuff that I trademarked as well, but, you know, we don't want to talk about that, you know. They're just meatheadisms. And, you know, I'm going to be who I am. So, anyways, we've got more shenanigans, again, lack of a better term, from the Elimination Chamber weekend. Apparently Cal Hero and David Hero, other videos popping up on YouTube. If you haven't yet become a subscriber for the YouTube feed, you definitely want to do that. Also, head on over to PWRshow.com for all the latest details. You know who else was in the building? We haven't talked to him in a while. It was Frank Cosentino. Dwayne, have you had the pleasure of speaking to Frank Cosentino?
I have not.
He's the man in charge of all the cannolis. We used to get cannolis pre-show. He's also the guy who's a big fan of Doritos and Diet Coke and sitting in front of you. I don't know if you saw the video, but Frank got a little abusive with me when he started going off on the fans of the show and threw me into a wall. Not a problem. You know, it's not like I'm a 4-foot guy. I mean, I'm 6 foot 250. You're not pushing me around lightly, but you know, you get that Italian rage in you. So let's take another phone call. We have got area code 269. 269, I want to know the first name and the state that you're calling from. Go ahead, 269.
Hey, it's David from Michigan again.
David, welcome back to the show.
Hi, I wanted to add a comment to you guys on Jesse Sorensen about what that package does. I think it almost lets everyone know, like, these guys are wrestlers, they're entertainers, but this stuff does happen. It shows them in the real life. Like, look, this guy's really hurt. Instead of, like, the WWE even does this a lot, where you see somebody get carried out on a stretcher and you're like, okay, this is a work, he's fine. I mean, you don't know half the time. You're almost so used to seeing it on TV, it's like, is this really real? I mean, you don't know anymore.
Yeah, and you know, I got to tell you, sitting at the Bradley Center this last Sunday, when Jericho took his fall out there, I really thought Jericho was out too. I mean, they show the cameraman, you know, get kind of woozy, but to be honest, that was a work. And, you know, we're so jaded as a wrestling fan to think that everything's work, just like you mentioned, that when something really happens, I guess maybe they were showing the legitimacy of it, but I just thought it's something that could happen down the road. Again, I for lack of a better term, offended, because I wasn't offended. I felt uneasy watching it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and if I could add something else about the Twitter thing, I mean, the WE, I mean, you want to talk about TNA, but the WE really goes, TNA does it some.
Sure.
But the WE just kills it. I mean, talk about getting their, what stinks that I'm done. I mean, all you hear on Twitter is, like, this past year, Rock and Cena talking, building up for their match at WrestleMania. All you even hear about them. And they even talk about Chris Brown and Rihanna on TNA tonight. I mean, I was getting so sick of that. And that seems like a big work to me with Punk and Brown.
Right. Exactly, and I think it's overdone. We watch wrestling to get wrestling. If we want to hear about that other stuff, we'll go to TMZ. We'll go to something like that, and we'll get into that. We don't want the other worlds meshed into our wrestling world. We want to watch what we want to watch. It is what it is. David, anything else you want to talk about tonight?
Yeah, it almost feels like wrestling now is like, it's almost like wrestling's coming to I won't say to the end, but it's like only thing fans want to see now, it seems like, is like the wrestlers from the 90s. They want to see the Jerichos, the Austins, the Rocks, Sting, Undertaker. And it's like, what's going to happen in 5 or 10 years when all these guys are pretty much irrelevant? I mean, what's really going to happen with wrestling then?
Dwayne, how do you feel about
that's all we want to see. Sorry, go ahead.
No, Dwayne, go ahead.
I don't have a comment on that.
Really? Okay. I mean, I understand where the fans are coming from. It's the older fans, not to say that I'm an old fan and not to say that, Dwayne, you're an old fan, but it's the older fans that are struggling to buy into the new generation of wrestlers.
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
Do you think that every generation has that problem?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we just got to wait for the next run of stars. And David, pass or fail tonight?
The Sting promo put it over the top for me. I thought it was hilarious. So yeah, I'll give it a pass.
So you were sitting at 49-49 at that point, huh?
Yeah, I wasn't too entertained with the show, but that was pretty funny. Yellow Brick Road got me busting up.
Good. All right. Well, we appreciate you calling as always, and I hope to talk to you next week.
All right, you guys have a good one.
All right, good night.
Definitely.
Wayne, I want to talk about his point there for a second, and I'm going to ask you to kind of elaborate a little. I agree with the fans, and generationally speaking, besides your quote-unquote Dolph Ziglers, your Cody Rhodes, Daniel Bryans, Kofi Kingstons, what other wrestlers has this generation really popped up? That
Randy Orton.
They're going to be there. Well, Randy Orton, I guess, but that are going to last the next 10, 15 years.
Where does Cena fall in that? Cena's more on this side than the last generation.
Yeah, I think he falls in the cracks. I think he's one of those in-betweeners. I think he's the transitional, not that Cena's ever been a transitional champion, but he's a transitional super. I mean, am I right? I mean, he kind of bridges the gaps between generations. I mean, kind of like.
I think he falls in with this generation. I
yeah,
think he's not a part of the Attitude Era.
He did come up right at the end of the Attitude Era. I mean, right at the end, because the Attitude Era is the finish is kind of fuzzy. You know what I mean? Where was the end of?
Where would you say the finish is?
Oh, that depends. I mean, I guess historically the Attitude Era, especially because of what I watched on Netflix tonight, Attitude Era ended when Nitro died, when WCW died.
I agree with that.
So if you want to lock it to a date, then there was the new E era, because they were still F for another 6 months, year. I don't have the dates in front of me, but after they bought WCW, they were only WWF for another stretch, and then they had to change the E. I remember the Raw specifically. They played the Get the F Out commercial at the beginning. Jim Ross said, we had to get rid of the F. We're now the E. Okay, dude, whatever. And I remember Eddie Guerrero returning. Yeah, I remember Eddie Guerrero returning from injury, about a month or two later, and his promo kept saying WWF. He didn't get the memo, apparently. But yeah, it is what it is. So let's go back to the phones. We're going to go back to our next caller, calling from the 504 area code. 504, your name and the state you're calling from.
Hey, Mita, it's Brian from Louisiana.
Brian from Louisiana. What part of Louisiana? Are we talking north or south?
Oh, south, man.
South, okay. So not too far from Panama City Beach.
Sipping on a beer right now.
Fair enough. What's going on? How did you like Impact tonight?
Well, first of all, I wanted to touch on the point that you were just talking about. And, you know, people talk about wrestling like the apocalypse is coming. Wrestling was, and always will be cyclical. It comes in cycles, man.
Yeah.
People need to stop freaking out. And, yeah, it's kind of bad right now, but it's eventually going to pick up.
I guess that, and Dwayne, you can comment on this as well. I guess it's a state of mind. For example, my only real gap of wrestling my entire lifetime had to be, I'd say 91 to 95, 96. I really didn't watch wrestling in between there. I kind of went off. It was my lifestyle at the point, where I had other things going on. But the minute Hogan jumped, the minute NWO hit, I was back in, and I've been in ever since. So I guess if you find positives, in between what's going on, even though the state of wrestling right now might not be the best, you'll find something entertaining.
I totally hear you, because after Austin left, man, I didn't watch for a good period of time. Little here and there. I didn't watch seriously until Bret Hart came back after Austin left. That's how long I was out of the game. But you know what brought me? You know what saved wrestling for me? Because about a year right before CM Punk did that famous shoot, I was about to give up. Indie wrestling saved me, man.
So you kind of found your roots.
I found Ring of Honor. That we got some local promotions that are starting to kick back up out here. So I'm covered. But man, I was ready to give up.
Yeah, and when I was saying that CM Punk, we were talking about the generational thing. I don't consider CM Punk to be one of the new breed of wrestlers because we're spoiled up here in Milwaukee. We've seen CM Punk for years before he blew up, before he even made it to Ring of Honor. CM Punk, obviously from the Chicago area, I seen him locally. We used to see him, every couple weekends. So CM Punk has been in my wrestling mind for years and years and years. Same with Colt Cabana. We used to see that guy all the time. So anything else you want to talk about Impact tonight? Did you think it was
Impact. I want to tell you about the Twitter thing and people complaining about. The difference between TNA doing it is because they think it'll actually help their product. WWE, I guarantee you, the reason they harp on it so much is because it gets heat from Michael Cole. That's the difference between the way they use it.
I think they're getting that effect. I think they're still using it for the overall. Dwayne, I want you to chime in on this, but I think they're using it for the overall. But, yeah, they're definitely getting a result for Michael Cole on that because they don't use it just for Michael Cole. They use it for, the show as well. So, Dwayne, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%.
So did you think it was pass or fail tonight, Impact?
I thought it was a fun show, actually. I was able to sit down, enjoy it. The Twitter stuff didn't bother me too much, and I thought there was some decent matches. Jeff Hardy looked good, so hopefully, he's going to keep staying the course and keep doing better.
I think so, too. I'm a little weirded out by the face paint on the eyelids, but that's his gimmick now. That's his thing, so, it's not so bad. The first week I didn't like...
As long as he's staying clean and giving us good matches, I don't care what he does.
Right. All right. We appreciate you calling in. Thanks for calling in, and we hope to hear from you next week.
Appreciate your time. Take it easy, man.
All right.
Dwayne, I was freaked out the first week because he painted eyeballs on his eyelids. Now he's just white. Don't white so much. The eyeballs freaked me out. I apologize if it offends anybody, but they were creepy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that they're always walking that line between doing way too much talking and not enough in-ring action at the beginning of the show. I think that they're always walking that line.
Yeah, well, I never have a problem with the exception of the Garrett thing, which we only got one segment of tonight. One segment of Garrett and Hogan. I never have a problem with the effort the talent's making. The talent's doing a quote-unquote phenomenal – where's my bell? I'm doing a phenomenal job. I used to ring that bell because AJ told us specifically, Damien and I, we owe him a nickel every time we say that word. And maybe it was inappropriate, but I said, all right, I'll be down next time to give you your nickel bag.
We'll say that to Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. And I literally intended to, the next time we hit the tapings, bring in a sandwich bag full of about $7 of nickels. I wonder how that would have went over. But let's get back into Impact before we take the next call here. Zema Ion beating Alex Shelley with Austin Aries watching from ringside. Now, this Dixie Carter tweet I did find kind of funny. She miswrote it. I don't know if she wasn't paying attention to the typing, but she says apparently she needs to take Austin Aries to wine appreciation classes because dude's out there with a box of popcorn and a glass of red. It was kind of funny, but kind of corny that his box had to say popcorn on the side because I didn't know what it was until it said popcorn.
Well, yeah, definitely.
But funny stuff nonetheless. We're not going to get into the AJ Styles thing yet, and I wanted to segue off a phenomenal, and I want to talk about the TNA television title, and I want to talk about AJ, but I do want to get to one more call before we hit the next break here. We're going to go out to 773 area code. I want to know your first name and the area or state you're calling from. 773, go ahead.
Yes, this is Warzone Jones from Chicago, Illinois.
Warzone from Chi-Town. What's good?
Yeah, I just want to say that the football guy, no, I can't remember his name because, I don't watch football that much.
Yep.
Yeah, that guy was so terrible on the mic. I couldn't stop laughing at him, and as a matter of fact, I was actually a little embarrassed for him. Like, this guy was, he just kept stuttering on his words, and he looked like he was reading from a teleprompter, and did
he sound like me tonight? Because I've been all over my words today.
I guarantee you, that guy, you didn't sound nowhere near as bad as that guy, but that guy, he just looked nervous on the mic. You know how like Shelton Benjamin sort of was.
Yeah, that's what they found in his mama. Yeah.
And his mama talked better than that. But that guy, he was just terrible on the mic. But I understand why they brought him in. They brought him in basically so hopefully they can get a plug on him, maybe on ESPN or wherever else they're trying to get. They're trying to get newer eyes to watch TNA, which is a good thing, of course. But will it work though? That's the question.
No, Dwayne, how do you feel about Brandon Jacobs on Impact tonight?
I mean, it was, he's not used to doing something like that. I felt that, he was having trouble, but the crowd seemed to be with him, and it gave him a little bit, of, motivation, and he did better as he went on. The spot that he did at the end, putting Ray through the table, was a bit of a stretch, but he pulled it off well. I mean, he's a tall guy. He's in shape, so it's believable.
I thought believability, it was a stretch. I thought work. I thought Ray did a great job, and I thought Brandon did what he's supposed to in that table spot. But, yeah, believability-wise, come on, dude. He's supposed to be the number one heel in the business, and Brandon Jacobs is putting him through a table? Well, there goes any can't.
Right.
Yeah, well, so they're going to have a battle of the cast.
Impact. How did you feel overall, Impact?
Yeah. Overall, I thought Impact was a pretty good show. I'd give it a pass. I'm loving Zuma Ion, by the way. I love the push that they giving him.
Well, he's a good worker. There's accidents do happen in the business, so hopefully holding any ill will towards Zima, for what happened. Things happen, but I think Zima's probably beating himself up over it more than anything else. But I think he's doing a good job, and he's a young guy. He's kind of like some of the younger guys that they bring in. They seem to bring in these 20 and 21-year-old cruiserweight, X Division type wrestlers, and they really seem to get themselves over. Now, how long can this go on for? How long is it going to last? Jay Lethal, even though he was in TNA forever, he's a young guy still, and he made his way over to Ring of Honor now. But
yeah, he was like 20 when he first came to TNA, wasn't he? The Jay Lethal,
right? Yeah, and Consequences Creed when he came in, with the Apollo Creed gimmick. And if you watch the promo package with Cena, you saw Consequences Creed in the background there as well.
Yeah, I saw him.
Yeah, but it's Jesse Sorensen. Things happen, but Zema Ion. I'm not sold on him yet. There's no character there, but he can work. So, all right. Well, we appreciate you calling Warzone from the Chi-Town. Thank you again.
No problem.
Hopefully we talk to you next week.
All right. No. See you.
Yep.
All right. See you.
All right. Dwayne, we've got one more. You want to take one more call on hit break, or you want to hit break now and come back to that call?
All right. Yeah, take the call.
Okay, let's take the call. Area code 646. I believe that's that's not the Boogie Down, is it? Is that what they call that, the Boogie Down over there, where they make that paste picante sauce?
I don't know about that.
646. Your first name and the state you're calling from. 646, go ahead. All right, I'm going to put you on hold there. 646, if you want to talk, we'll bring you back later. 646, I'm almost positive, is a New York area, only from my Seinfeld experience. Remember when Elaine got the news area code? She's like,
yep.
I don't 16. I had the 212. It's so much better. And I saw a tweet from Damien tonight. I don't know if you saw this, Dwayne, but they keep talking about this Lloyd Braun guy. Did he sell more computers tonight? You know, Ryan Braun, I don't know if you heard the news. He is the first person in the history of baseball to win his appeal of his 50-game suspension. Big news here in the Milwaukee area.
That is big news.
First ever. So we're going to go to one more call. We're going to take this call, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit the break. So how about we go out to area code 347. 347, I need the first name and state you're calling from. Go ahead, 347. Okay. Switchboard operator apparently not working today. We're going to take a break. We're going to let everything settle down. 646, if you're listening, we'll be after the break. You're listening to Sudden Impact Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio. Stick around.
The Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998. But they know their way around the wrestling ring, but certainly not a whole hell of a lot about being in it. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Radio. There's only one place to get the latest from pro wrestling, including the only place to get 100% verified wrestling news. PWRshow.com. PWRshow.com, where you'll never find pop-ups or misleading headlines. Watch or listen to all of our latest TV and radio broadcasts on demand, and get caught up on wrestling news between episodes. PWRshow.com is the cleanest, friendliest, and most fan-friendly source for wrestling news on the web. Follow us on Twitter for breaking news, live wrestling chat, and pure hilarity. Head over to twitter.com/PWRshow and be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Pro Wrestling Report on YouTube. We promise we'll never rickroll you, but we might just chokeslam you. Click the subscribe button now and be part of the revolution. This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, real. Welcome to PWR Sudden Impact Radio, breaking down all that happened on tonight's Impact Wrestling broadcast on Spike TV. Sudden Impact Radio is on the air.
Welcome back to Sudden Impact Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio. Thank you for joining us. I'm the man they call me, joined as always by Dwayne Williams. Dwayne, we've got one more segment to go. We've got the Chatosphere. We've also got Twitterverse, our Twitter feed as well. And if you want to have your tweet mentioned on the air, use the hashtag Sudden Impact. Still got time for you to call in. Also, the phone number is 877-317-9772 or area code 347-996-5278. Now I'm going to talk about, I don't know if you saw the tweet I shot out a little bit earlier. It was a picture of one of the teenage belts. Did you see it? Dwayne?
Oh, I had the mute button down. Sorry.
That's okay. It's my first time here too. Anyway, we're going to talk about one of TNA's belts. Now, did you see the picture I tweeted out earlier during the program tonight of one of TNA's championship belts?
I did.
Okay. Did you see what was missing?
No.
Really? Look at the picture again, folks. Go ahead and check my timeline. That belt is so beat up, half of the damn diamonds are missing off of it. Look at the letters TNA. They're supposed to be in red. They're all missing. Big chunks of the belt is missing. I mean, I don't know if it's Robbie.
It's a hardcore title.
I don't know if it's Robbie that's, using it for hair gel, that he's selling them off one piece at a time when he's, hanging out in Dave Hero's basement or whatever he's doing. But honestly, man, and if your belt's going to look like that, and I understand the World Heavyweight Championship in WWE, that's an old belt. It's a real belt. That thing's dinged up. I mean, it's tearing off of the leather. That's a historic belt. But if you're going to put all that silly bling on it, all this different little, cubic zirconias on them, at least glue some new ones on when they come off, man. I mean, that's...
Well, it takes time. It takes time for those things.
Dude, the thing is that if you're trying to be a top-flight organization, don't show the belt. Man, edit something else in there. Go to a crowd shot. Don't zoom in on the belt and give me an opportunity to look at the belt in, zoomed in. Literally, the belt was the size of my 42-inch screen, and all I saw was this big gap. That's terrible.
That's because you have HD.
Well, it could be an analog. It won't make a difference. Here's the thing, too. And speaking of this match and speaking of the TV title, they had a promo before this match from AJ. Do you remember what AJ said?
Mm-hmm.
AJ said, you know what, I'm going to refocus. I'm done with this Kazarian Daniels thing, and I'm going to go after my main goal, which is I'm going to go after the World Heavyweight Championship. So what, the TV title that you're going for doesn't matter right now? That didn't make sense at all. So he's wrestling for the TV title, but he doesn't care about that. He's just wrestling for that. He wants the world. Got to have some continuity in here. That's, some things aren't meshing up together. Just the tiny little things. It's not that. I'm trying to pick out and punch holes in the Swiss cheese that is TNA, but these are just the little things that are popping up and showing up right in front of me. So I don't know how you feel about it, and I don't know how did you feel about the match. So let's talk about the match right away. AJ Styles did beat Robbie E, but it was by DQ. And Robbie T, has he wrestled a match in the last 6 months?
No, and he shouldn't. I mean, I had so many issues with that match, if that's what we're going to call it. I don't understand why AJ's he's missing something. I don't know what it is, but he's missing something. Is he not motivated? Is he not, what is it?
I don't think it's on him. I think there's really nothing for him right now. He's just there. I thought it really started going downhill when he tweaked his entrance song. When they changed it, because he used to get the guys rapping about "Get Ready to Fly." Man, I loved that.
Yeah.
For that every time I heard it. I'm a guy that's big into entrance songs. Right now, number one for me, without a doubt, is the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I love it. I sing along to it when it's on. I'll mark out for it every time. That's the thing that again, not to make comparisons, because we're talking about apples and potato chips. Not to make comparisons, but that's the thing that they got you. When they get a wrestler that gets a song that everybody's into, you get into the song, you get into the wrestler. You give the wrestler the right music, boom, that wrestler's going to take off. I couldn't stand Hardy for the longest time, but I was into his tune, and I started to get into Hardy. Anderson, when he was in WWE, Turn Up the Trouble, man, that song got me jacked every time I heard it. Even his music that he has in TNA right now, but when they tweaked, and they tweaked Bobby Roode's, by the way, too. I'm not a fan of it right now. Still liking Bobby, but I feel a little, like a bad taste in my mouth when I hear his music, because where's the words? It's like a symphony act.
Yeah, it's kind of like his song is almost a throwback.
Yeah,
type of song.
Maybe I'm ignorant. Maybe I'm wrong, because that's what TNA is trying to do. They're trying to make him that throwback champion. Like, say, a Ric Flair walking down to the ring in the 80s. Maybe that's what I'm missing. Who knows?
Yeah, I think so.
So, but anyways, the match was what it was. I thought we really truly were going to get the end of AJ, Kazarian, Daniels. We didn't. Kazarian came down, caused a DQ, and Daniels is the one pulling the strings. But Kazarian was wearing the Killer Kowalski T-shirt, so, point for him. Yay. Stinger also coming out later in the program. But first, let's talk about Gail Kim beating the ODB. I thought they had a pretty physical match, and I was kind of impressed with the match. And Eric Young, his goofiness, of course, trying to tag into the match. Madison Rayne did come down and watch, but Gail Kim yelling, "You're a backstabber, you're a backstabber." Boy, I wonder who's going to be the true heel in that match now when Gail Kim wrestles Madison Rayne for the Knockouts Championship.
I'm thinking Gail Kim.
Really? Because it looks like Madison Rayne's the real heel in this one, and Gail Kim's just, trying to stay, I guess, true to herself. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm kind of interested in it. I'm into the little thing that they got going right now.
Yeah, but do we want to break up every team at the same time?
No. Let there be some...
we also got tension between Bully and Roode slightly as well.
Yeah. Let them, they can always come back to each other. Let them have this little match, then let something else happen in between where it forces them to go back together. Or maybe, throw another person into the mix, make it a three-way, let that person get the belt, and then let them work the tag team belts. Because when was the last time the Knockouts tag team belt has been even, mentioned in a match? They're just carrying around proper right now. So, it is what it is. Still liking the ODB Eric thing. They're smacking each other around and they're loving it. They're like a Puddle of Mud song. So finally,
they're over. They're over too.
Yeah, they are plenty over. We have the main event. James Storm and Jeff Hardy, they beat up on Bully Ray and Kurt Angle. Calfzilla has really got some sick muscles in there. I stopped it just for a second to look at just the different lines. That dude is all muscle down there. Like he cut open his skin and put more muscles in there. They are sick.
Hey, Brandon Jacobs wasn't that bad either.
Well, he's a football player. He better have. He's a running back. He better have some calves. I didn't drive for the longest time. I walked everywhere I went. So even though I've put on a couple pounds, the only thing I've got left is my calves, and they don't compare to those guys. Those guys have got calves. I thought I was rocking calves. I thought I had Popeye calves. So, Brandon Jacobs was the quote-unquote special enforcer for the match. I don't like the special introduction for Brandon Jacobs. I thought it was way too drawn out. But this was a week, and I want to know how you feel about it. This was a week that I didn't mind Jeremy Borash doing the in-ring introductions this time. It really felt good, even though Bully Ray stopped him and said, no, nobody's introducing me. I'll do it myself. Bully Ray, number one heel still.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it either. It felt right. It felt right.
Yeah, it felt big match. Again, I'm still not a fan of two different ring announcers. I'm not a matter of fact, didn't they do that once where Christy announced the half of the match and Jeremy announced the other half of the match? Too many cooks in the kitchen sometimes. Tonight it felt good, but we'll see how it goes next week. Finally, the quote unquote main event. Sting came out and said the job is too much for him and he's finished. And again, we all know that he's not going to quit. Again, not to go back into the I'm done tweets, not to go back into any of that other stuff here, but we all knew where it was going. We all knew what was happening. So Stinger coming out saying he's done. Here comes Roode, and he plays the perfect heel role again. He plays it up the way he's supposed to. But Sting said he's going to whoop Roode's butt. He starts to reach in his pocket. Stinger pulling off the glasses. There aren't many times in wrestling that you're going to see Sting either minus all the paint and the glasses, or at least in TNA in the last couple of years, he's gone paintless but still had the glasses on. Sting was down to nothing. It's just face, no glasses. That was Steve Borden right there we were looking at. And right then he told Roode, you know what? You're making me feel a little crazy. Just slopped it right on it. I guess you get a look into how a wrestler puts paint on his face. That was fun to do. And he just smeared it all over. I wonder if that's how he was making his Joker look. Was it, did he have lines that he was following on his face, or did he just slop it on, mash his face into a wall and go, that looks good?
I don't like that I don't like that Sting character. The Joker Sting, the Crow Sting would have been much better, but I don't know. The crowd seemed to pop for it, but I think it's more so because it's Sting. I don't know.
I think so too, and kind of feeding off of your statement there, the crowd I think popped over it because it's Sting, because they remember the Crow Sting. Remember, that's not a true 100% wrestling crowd that's sitting in that building.
That's
They're
true.
popping over things they recognize and they know. So when they see him, acting like the Stinger, they popped over it. As a matter of fact, I think the reason Brandon Jacobs was over is because all those people recognized him from being a football player. Hey, we know football. Cheer for you.
Right. Yeah, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but again, I hate to say the term, but it is what it is. In about a minute, not to go back into my other terms, but it's been about a minute since we've had a true crowd. I know it seems like forever since they've been in London. It seems like forever since we had that hot wrestling crowd. But we're gonna head on over to Twitter. We're going to read some of your sudden impact tweets as well. This one coming from Les Wilson, talking about that AJ Styles-Robbie E match. The dropkick by AJ Styles on Robbie E was one of the best I've seen in a long time. Talk about a quote-unquote sudden impact. How awesome is that to work that in there? I thought that was fantastic. Also, Nikki Nux says he watched Impact for the first time in a while. Sting became Farley and has a van down by the river. So apparently he was Chris Farley and started freaking out about his van down by the river. I think that's pretty funny as well. Nikki Nux throwing out a tweet there as well. We'll jump over to the chat-osphere as well and mention some of the chats that we got sitting in there. A bunch of the people talking about how, yes, the Joker is back. That's PWR in a box. Also asking where RVD is. I saw that in the chat-osphere as well. Dwayne, where's RVD?
I'd forgotten all about him. Now that we've talked him up, he's going to probably be back by the next pay-per-view.
Next pay-per-view, next set of TV tapings?
Yeah.
Well, RVD, I think it was time for him to slow it down a little bit because the last time we saw RVD, did we not mention to each other he looks tired? He looks like the effort might not be at 100%. Let RVD take a rest, man. RVD sells tickets with his name. Not as many as, say, like Kurt Angle does, who also looked a lot smaller tonight. Angle.
He looked a lot smaller, and it's
Miami, South Beach, the biggest wrestling event of the year. Bikinis, booze, and beaches. And the biggest wrestling party ever. The Pro Wrestling Report presents the Shenanigans Beach Party, hosted by Big Sexy Kevin Nash and Sean X-Pac Waltman. Join us at one of the best clubs on South Beach, Ocean's 10, located at 960 Ocean Drive, on Friday, March 30th, starting at 7 p.m. for live music, bands, drinks, and a ton of shenanigans. The Shenanigans Beach Party will feature appearances by Billy Gunn, TNA TV champion Robbie E., former WWE Tag Team Champions The Headbangers, Shane Hurricane Helms, along with others, and special appearances by Arda Ocal and Jimmy Corderas of The Score, Justin LeBar, and Josh Eisenberg of Chairshots Reality, and the PWR team of Damian Nelson, David Hero, and the Coyote Ugly Calendar Girl, Linda Kay. Tickets for the biggest wrestling party ever are on sale now at PWRshow.com and start at just $15. VIP tickets, which include a private meet and greet along with early access, are available for only $99 each, but quantities are very limited, so buy now. Tickets are going fast for the PWR Shenanigans Beach Party, so buy yours now only at PWRshow.com. And don't miss out on the biggest wrestling party ever. Hosted by Kevin Nash and Sean Waltman.